Hello everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. It's kind of cloudy today. Foggy, misty, cloudy, however you want to say it. But I do like these kind of days as well. It's like nice to have a mix of sunny days and then a foggy day and then a cloudy day. Kind of like keeps things interesting. Anyways, I'm talking about the weather way too much. It shows that I'm in Canada because basically Canadians do a lot of, oh, the weather has been terrible today. Oh, the weather is great today. I don't know how I got onto this topic. Anyways, the reason I wanted to do a video today, as I was walking to do my video, I was thinking about, what kind of video do I want to do today? And this is a topic that came to my mind. And it's a difficult topic to speak about because there's so many extenuating circumstances that are associated with this topic that I can't say, oh, you should do this because this. But I'm going to speak about my own experience. And that's all I can really do, is that according to my experience, this is how it goes. And I would like you to speak about, or I would like you to hear my experience and make your own judgment based on that. Okay? So, I think I've spoken about this before. But when I was younger, and even now apparently, things haven't changed that much. I'm 37 years old. And really things haven't changed that much in my family. My parents are always fighting. Yeah. And I'm sure they won't like anyone hearing this and me talking about this in such a public format, but it really is an important topic to speak about. But they're always fighting, particularly about money, but other things as well. And they always used to fight when I was a kid as well. And the first time I remember the fighting is like when I was 4 or 5 years old. But, I don't remember exactly what they were fighting about then. But I do remember as I got older, at 7 or 8 or 9, remembering that they were usually fighting about money. Yeah, they fought a lot. They fought a lot. And as an individual who was trying to protect my brother and sister from the constant fighting, I was always thinking to myself, even as a child, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I'd always be thinking to myself, why don't my parents get a divorce? Like, they obviously don't like each other very much. They're always fighting. I mean, I understand that, as a couple, you can't always have peace in the house. Like, you have to have some fights because they kind of make you understand about each other, and you can kind of grow as an individual or as a family and all that stuff. I understand that. But as a child, I would always look at the situation, and I'd look at the constant fighting and the constant disagreements, and I would think to myself, why are they still together? Right? There is this thing called divorce, and even at 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever I was, I knew that was a possibility because I knew a couple of my friends who had parents who were divorced. My friends weren't divorced; they were too young. They had parents who were divorced, and they would talk about it. And I would always think, oh man, it would be great if my parents weren't together anymore, because then they wouldn't fight anymore, and I would be able to live in a peaceful household. And when I was a child, I didn't have many dreams at all. I only had really 2 or 3 major dreams. One of them was that I wanted to give back to the world in some way. So I wanted to do volunteer work or like some kind of charity work. I wanted to help the poor. I wanted to help the destitute. I wanted to help animals in need. All that stuff. I wanted to do that. That was really important to me. I always wanted to do that. And the other thing was that I wanted to live in a peaceful household. I wanted to live in a house where there wasn't constant fighting. I still want that. But thankfully now I can go and create my own house where I can live on my own by myself in a beautiful home or a beautiful apartment with no fighting. But at that point I wasn't able to leave, right? You can't as a child, unfortunately, leave and be like, all right, c'est la vie, goodbye, I'm off to do my own thing. Unfortunately, you can't do that. That's why, when people are like, oh, I wish I could go back to my childhood, I'm like, no way ever am I going back to my childhood. I don't want to be a child ever again. Not even in my future lifetimes, because it's so difficult being a child. You're under the power of everyone else around you. You have no say in anything by yourself. You have no freedom or you just don't have any power. You're powerless. I never want to be a child again. I love being an adult. I love the power, the freedom, the responsibility I have because I can do whatever I want and no one gets to say that I can't. No one gets to have any say in the way I live my life. Never want to be a child again. And so, as I said, I would dream constantly, like even in my like nightly dreams, I would have these dreams where My parents would reconcile and be happy, and we'd all live happily ever after together, and no one would fight anymore. And there'd be peace in the house, and I wouldn't have to worry about my siblings getting afraid or scared, and I wouldn't have to worry about my parents, and I wouldn't have to mediate. And constantly in my life, that was this dream that was running over and over again. I want a peaceful house. I don't want anything else. I don't want money. I don't want a huge house. I don't want a lot of food or gifts. I really didn't actually want anything else from my parents except peace. I wanted a peaceful house. I still want a peaceful house, right? And so the reason I'm doing this video is not people like, oh, poor me. No, that's not the reason. Okay, I'm not poor me. I love my life. I'm doing very well now. But to make a point where, my parents would always be, I'd actually say to them, I started talking to them about this when I was 10 or something, and I'd be like, why don't you guys just get a divorce? Like, you obviously don't like each other. It would be much better. I think it'd be awesome. And I don't mind. I can live with either one of you. It's okay. Or I can live with someone else. It's totally fine. Like, as long as you're not fighting anymore, it's totally fine with me. And, I'd always say that to them, and they'd be like, oh, no, but we're staying together for you. We love you so much. We don't want to get a divorce and cause you trauma. So we're staying together for you. And, even at 10, even when I was a child, I look at them and think, what bull crap is that? What BS is that? I'd literally be sitting there thinking, are you ridiculously insane? Are you actually thinking about what you're saying? You are staying together for me, for your kids, but you're fighting all the time. So what kind of a life is that where your children are like constantly looking at you fighting and not being able to live in peace? How are you staying together for us? It doesn't make any sense. Remember, literally telling you, separate, get a divorce, because we don't want to deal with this anymore. As I said, thankfully now I'm an adult, so I don't have to deal with it. I can walk away and move away, and I love that. I love being an adult. But I'm doing this video because, I'm sure there's a lot of children right now, unfortunately, in situations where their parents are fighting a lot. And then, when the topic of divorce comes up or separation, they're like, but I'm staying together for you. And I literally think ridiculous whenever I hear that. Because how are you staying together for them? They obviously are noticing that you have a terrible life. They're obviously being disturbed by the fact that you're constantly fighting. Why do you think that it would be a good idea for you to stay together? And why would you think your kids, your children would be happy about that? There's no way they'd be happy about it. The best thing for your children actually would be for you to get a divorce or to get separation, so that you're not constantly putting that negative, toxic, fighting energy into their psyche. Like, it is the worst energy in the world. It is a negative, toxic energy that no child wants in their life. So if you are a parent and you're fighting with each other all the time, and your children are being affected by it, then don't make the stupid excuse, the ridiculous excuse, the insane excuse that you're staying together for the children. Say it out loud and proud that you're afraid. You're afraid of change. You want to stay in your comfort zone of fighting all the time and being together, rather than making a change and trying something that might not work out or might work out but is scary. Yeah, say it out loud and proud. Say it truthfully that you're not actually doing it for your children. You're making up that excuse because it's an easy excuse to make, but you're not doing it for your children. If you were really truly doing it for your children, you would get a separation or a divorce, because your children are being affected negatively by your fighting all the time. It is not a good place to live in. It is not a great place to live in for a child where their parents are fighting all the time. In fact, it would be better if they were separated. It would be better if they were divorced, even if it means that the kids would be separated somehow or something. At least there would not be that negative, toxic energy all the time. So again, I'm not married. I've been in relationships, but I have never been married, and I don't have children. But as a child, I can explain to you my experience in living in a household where there was constant toxic fighting. And I did not like it, and I really wished every single day that my parents would get a divorce. Like, I wished every single day, I'm like, I hope they decide to get a divorce today, so then I don't have to deal with this anymore. Like, it was literally one of my biggest wishes. Obviously, it didn't come true, because my parents were doing it for me. And even now, I'm like, don't do it for us now anymore. Like, you don't need it. We're adults now. You can get separated if you want. You can live your own life. You have nothing to worry about. And they still make that ridiculous excuse, but I'm staying together for you. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're staying together because you're afraid. You're a scaredy cat. You're afraid to live a different life. You're staying in your comfort zone, and you're using this easy excuse that you're doing it for your children. Your children don't want you to do it. You can get divorced if you want. You can get separated if you want. But no, you won't do it because you're afraid. So please, parents, don't think that your children are idiots. Yeah? Don't think that if you make this ridiculous excuse that they're going to actually believe you and think, oh my God, my parents love me so much. They're always fighting and staying together for me. Oh, how nice of them. Right? And like, now I'm an adult, so I can live my own life. But I really do feel for that little child that I was was like constantly dealing with that nonsense. And I was like, never again am I going back to that. Oh boy. Anyways, I wanted to share this with you because it's ridiculous, but also because it's my experience, and it might just be a unique experience, but I don't think so. And I really wanted to share this because it's so irksome when I hear parents saying these ridiculous things and thinking that their kids have no idea what they're talking about. Kids are not stupid. In fact, they're probably more intuitive than you are. So they know what you're actually doing. Stop trying to pull the wool over their eyes or trying to deceive them. They are not going to be deceived. They know what you're doing. Stop doing that. Any case, I thought that I'd share this. If you have a similar experience, I'd love to hear from you. And if you have questions about this or comments, please obviously comment below, and I shall reply back to you probably through a video format or in a comment format if it's easy. And again, thank you so much for being on my channel. I really appreciate it, and I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.